Hello everyone! So for this month's Fearless Fridays, I'm with Sarah Williams from the Tough Girl Tribe. And without further ado, I'd love for you, Sarah, to tell us first as an introduction what you were doing before and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Delighted to be here. So previously, for my sins, I did actually work down in London. I did work in banking for about 8 years. And then I quit my job in 2013, ended up traveling around the world and going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I headed off to South America doing backpacking. And then I started my own company up called Tough Girl Challenges, which is all about motivating, inspiring women and girls to get fit and active, to travel and explore and to go on big adventures and just live life to the fullest. And since then, I've gone on to do various different physical challenges. So I've run something called the Marathon de Sables, which is six marathons in 6 days across the Sahara Desert, pretty brutal. Last summer, I was out on the Appalachian Trail in America, where I walked 2,190 miles in 100 days. Yes, I know I'm crazy. And since then, I've just started back at university doing my master's in women and gender studies. But I have my own blog and podcast, and I share, incredible stories of female adventurers and athletes, and just trying to increase the amount of female role models in the media.
Wow, I love that. I had a couple of things in common with you. I left my job in 2013. I also went backpacking across South America. I have not climbed any mountains or done multiple marathons. Half marathon is the longest I've managed so far. So very impressive challenges there.
Oh, thank you. But I was going to say, one of the things that I always say to people is it's not about a comparison, because so many people, that's one of the things I sometimes, like if I'm out and about and people start to talk about like their half marathons and stuff, I basically don't want to say, oh, well, I've run quite a few marathons. I've done Marathon de Sables, because it's straight away, it'll make the other person just feel really, really bad, which is what I don't want to end up doing. So I keep saying on my podcast as well, it's not about comparison. Don't compare yourself to other people. It's just you. Are you better than the person you were the other day?
Yeah.
What's your own personal goals?
I love that. I mean, I talk a lot about, my whole concept is about getting out of your comfort zone. And obviously everyone's comfort zone is different, right? So it's all about giving yourself that little challenge that makes you a little bit uncomfortable and sort of scares you a bit, maybe, that will bring you all that growth and so on. So yeah, I love that you're saying that it's a very individual thing, that you're not supposed to. I certainly found that I got into sort of this adventure world for whatever reason when I first left, and I did feel a bit intimidated by some other people, and I felt caught up in it all. So no, I love that message. So did you know always that you wanted to do this, what you're doing now? Was there a moment at which you decided, what happened? Take us through the transition.
No, I don't think I did really. I'll just move kind of. I don't think I ever really stopped to think about what I wanted to do with my life. I think I was just sort of got on this treadmill, and my friends, it was school and then university, and then everyone was moving down to London. And I suppose I just sort of went with the flow, and partly because I wasn't unhappy. I was happy. It was like everyone else was doing. I felt as though I was making progress in my life. I was moving forward. I was making steps up the corporate ladder as such. And I don't think I ever really took the opportunity to think, well, hold on, what do I want to do? I didn't really even realize that this was an opportunity. This was something that women could go out and do, and could make a living from. And I think it was just very, very gradual how it happened. I think it was just little things here and then. And I'm a very positive person. I like to put like a positive spin on everything and have that positive mindset. But I think week after week, it was just becoming harder and harder and harder to try and fake this happiness and motivation and drive for doing what I was doing. And Sunday nights, the Sunday blues that I was getting, it was just like, I don't know how I can actually get through another week, another 5 days. And, there'd be like this mini celebration on Wednesday, like, yes, I've made it through, 3 days, just 2 to go, and then it's the weekend. And I think I just got grey and tired, and I was ill. And I think I'd had one of these like most miserable weeks ever at work. And I was outside and I was thinking, hold on, do I want to continue doing this? I was looking at the next 20, 30 years of my life, my working career. And I just thought, I just can't do this anymore. I was in a very fortunate position. I did have savings. I didn't have that, I didn't have any liabilities. So that actually I could go and leave. And I did head off to Kilimanjaro to go and climb the mountain, which was amazing. And I spent time with family in Australia. So I was in a very fortunate position, but it was just a very, very gradual thing. One of the things that I always think, if I'd known what I know now, I'd wish I'd started Tough Girl Challenges when I was still doing my working job,
absolutely.
So that I could actually, still receive a regular paycheck, regular income, and just build up the side hustle and learn everything that I needed to learn, about social media, about editing, about being an entrepreneur, about, all these things that you don't know until you're thrown into that world. So I think that's mainly sort of my only regret. But obviously, you can't go back and change
No.
things. So, yeah.
No, that sounds familiar, and 100% agree that it's best to build that up alongside and then to experiment. Maybe you don't even know what you want to do instead, and you need time to get it up and running, to test, both to see if you enjoy it and if it works and so on. But I guess that is sometimes hard for us because certainly the things I'm doing now I wasn't even aware existed when I first quit. So I think, I mean, in terms of your Tough Girl challenges, that's presumably an idea that came later then. It wasn't something that you were thinking on specifically when you quit.
No, I don't think I didn't even know. So when I quit, I just basically felt really like it was great for the first like 6 months traveling and exploring and just having this amazing lifestyle. But then you do get to that point where you think, hold on, what's my purpose? What am I doing here? And it was when I was in South America and I was sitting on these buses for like 24 hours at a time. And it was suddenly got time to ask myself these questions. Well, what do you enjoy doing? Not what you think you should be enjoying, but like, what do you enjoy? Where are your passions? Where are your interests? And I love traveling. I loved exploring. I love sort of pushing myself physically and doing these challenges. But also, I'd done a lot of work with like UN Women and Women for Women International, and so women and girls, like motivating and inspiring them was a huge part of it as well. And just sort of came together as Tough Girl Challenges. And it started out as a blog originally, and I wish I'd started that when I was traveling because that would have been amazing to do that. And no one read the blog. And then I started going to girls' schools and talking about some of my different adventures. And I was talking to these young girls about their goals and their ambitions, and they just didn't have any. Well, I was going to say, I'm so used to speaking to Americans, but we have the concept of the WAG, like the wife and girlfriend and the football player. And I was just so disheartened. Like, it made me just really upset that a future generation of girls, that was their only goal and ambition, was to be pretty and attractive. And I was like, you could be so much more than that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, there's just a big old wide world out there. You can do so much. And then you start looking through papers and you're like, hold on, where are the women? Where are the female role models? Why don't I get to see and hear about these incredible stories? And as I got into this adventure world, I started to hear more about women who'd rode across oceans, who'd swum the English Channel, who'd climbed these incredible mountains, who'd gone on these massive, hiked these huge distances, cycled, around the world. And I didn't know anything about it. I like to think I'm quite well read, I'm educated, and I think, well, if I'm in my 30s and struggling to find these women, what about young women? If they can't see it, how can they become it? And I had a very good friend who said, why don't you start a podcast? It's amazing. Also, it's very new technology. I'm rubbish at technology. I have no way, I didn't think I had any way of doing this. And I just started it. And I started interviewing these women back in August 2015. And now I've had over, 150 episodes done. It's come up to 500,000 downloads. It's just recently been nominated for the Women's Sports Trust Be a Game Changer initiative today.
Amazing. Congratulations.
And I'm up against, like, my competitors in this award are like the BBC, The Guardian, Sky Sport, Manchester City. And it's just like my little podcast, which is just me generally in my bedroom with my zero marketing budget. So yeah, it's just sort of been this process which has just sort of evolved. And I didn't really know about podcasting, 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there was the sort of Sunday blues moment, and then there was the what do I enjoy doing, and sort of getting inspired by this bigger message that you wanted to bring. What have been the biggest challenges, I guess, both in that initial decision to leave, and then also then now through the setting up the business and the podcast and so on?
I don't think I realized how hard it was going to be. And big challenge for me is the financial side of things. Is trying to make money from something I'm really passionate about. And I moved back home with my parents. So suddenly I'm a 36-year-old woman. I'm living at home with my parents, and you're just like, am I doing the right thing? I think that's still sort of a struggle. And I have these great days, like today when you get nominated for this award, getting to speak to you, share my story. And then other days you have these really low days where you're just sat on a computer for 16 hours a day doing social media, trying to promote your podcast and your story, and trying to get sponsorship and speaking gigs. And it's so hard, but I don't want to, I'm not complaining about it because it's my choice, and I'd 100% rather be doing this. But I think a lot of people sort of look at my life or look through Instagram like, oh, Sarah's at the gym again, or she's out walking Appalachian Trail, and oh, she's doing X, Y, and Z. But people don't really get to see behind the scenes. So I think that's been quite tough. It's also, I think, been an adjustment, almost like status wise, because being part of working in finance, working down in the city, working for a big global corporation, when people ask you that question, what do you do? there is a thing where you say, oh, I'm doing X for this bank, and you're just like, oh. And so I think there was a lot of ego in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're having that stripped away, and it's like, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a blogger, I'm a podcaster, and I think you get very different reactions from from some individuals, and some people are incredibly supportive, but other people aren't. I mean, what I struggled with I'd say with like my family and friends is, oh, why didn't you get this job? Oh, you'd be so good at doing this, and you're trying to say, actually, I'm really trying to make this work,
yeah.
and I know it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but this is my passion, this is my dream, and I do want to make it work. But there has definitely been, I think, hard times, friends and family trying to make money, living at home with the parents. Who my parents are amazing, by the way, so I'm actually quite lucky and very spoiled. But it's a challenge.
Yeah, there are ups and downs, definitely. I think you feel them much more sort of starkly than you would in a company where you're kind of protected some way. You're in a big team and you've got sort of just the steady pace of whatever it is you're doing. Whereas now, as you said, you can have one day just you're not seeing any results and you're working all day, and then another day when you're winning awards and meeting celebrities, and you just feel on top of the world. So,
but it's also, there's no one else to blame. Like I am the boss. Like I make every decision. And you can't have those days. Oh, my boss is so annoying, and it's just like I have to take full responsibility, full ownership for everything. And sometimes you think, oh, if I'm trying to go down like the Facebook route and it's not working, and you're thinking, right, well, actually, have I wasted like 6 months, or should I try and grow my Instagram or Twitter? Like, what's the best thing to do? And there's no. I mean, I suppose you'll understand as well. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's just finding your path and what works for you. And it is just this journey with highs and lows. And sometimes you've just got to keep persevering and think of the bigger picture.
Yeah, there's no one else to ask. There's no one else to blame. There's just sort of, trial and error in a way, which is both empowering and a little bit scary. So I guess there's the two sides to it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that in mind, where have you found the support that you needed to sort of manage the transition, and when you've had maybe those lower points, what do you do?
To be honest, it's online, which has been amazing. So there's a couple of things. There's obviously like I created my own Facebook group called the Tough Girl Tribe, which is incredible, because I think a lot of women sometimes do feel isolated when you say, oh, I want to go and run across the Sahara Desert, or I want to go do this challenge, and they may not have friends and family around. So that was great, I think, to connect other like-minded individuals. I also became a member of She Podcast, an incredible Facebook group for other female podcasters, to be able to ask those questions, which you think are stupid questions, and probably are stupid questions, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you need to ask about, what's the hosting place, and how do I get my RSS feed, and how do I link it in? And I'm also part of a mastermind as well, so I connected with 3 other women, and so that was sort of like last year. So we talk once a month, and they were all, everybody's sort of in similar positions or in a similar industry, and able to share like best practice and share their knowledge and experience and just get advice and tips. But I think definitely even being like online and social, it's not the same as in real life. I think that's one thing that I've struggled with at the moment, is that I feel as though I'm actually losing like my social skills, because I'm so happy about what I'm doing, and I'm just sit in my bedroom and just work all day and go to the gym, but I'm not having like daily interactions or daily banter. And yes, I get it on Twitter and social media, but it's not the same as physically talking to people. And I think that's what I'm actually struggling with at the moment. But support wise, it has actually been social media, because you can connect with people all over the world who have either done what you're doing, they've been through what you're doing, and they support you, whether it is just a like or a little comment, or people email me or message me, because last year I actually did like a daily podcast, and sometimes I was crying on my daily podcast, and I get these messages the following day just saying, oh, Sarah, I listened to your podcast. Just want to let you know, and actually that gives you like a massive boost. So I think I feel that's been like my main, I suppose, piece of support.
I think that's so important, having people who are a little bit ahead of you perhaps. As you said, mastermind I think is a growing concept now, so even if it's just a sort of informal thing with people that you know, and to have that support. I find, when I'm trying to write a book, for example, I find speaking of podcasts around like self-publishing and so on, because then I immerse myself in that, and people in those Facebook groups and podcasts are doing the thing that you want to be doing, and it just becomes like a how do I do it, rather than if or can I, and so on. So I think that's I think I've even read a study where they said that online support is as powerful as offline, which seems, as you said, a shame, because that we do miss a little bit that sort of face-to-face social contact, but hopefully we can get that in other ways as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing which is interesting is, well, I don't know if you have this as well, like sometimes like your friends and family, they can try and be supportive and say, oh, it's amazing, your podcast is fabulous and it's brilliant and this, but you're thinking, actually, what is it? Are they just saying this, you know, because they love me? Like, can I get like critical feedback? Like, where do I get like the real, I don't know, the real advice, the real feedback that you need to get so that you can actually grow and develop? It's one thing that I hope I'm doing as well, is helping to support sort of younger people coming up, you know, to give them advice and tips and say, guys, actually, these are the mistakes that I made. This is what you need to do on your social media, or definitely don't do that. And this is where you can focus on and what you can do. And I think that's really nice. Once you've learned something, then you can share it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's lovely. And I do think it's hard to put too much pressure, I guess, on our family and friends who try to, as you say, sort of, who are very supportive and trying to follow along, but sometimes they don't always understand what you're doing. And certainly in the beginning, there's kind of this incubation period, I find, where you need to protect yourself and your ideas, because you don't even know yet if it's going to work and what you want to do. So as you said before, with people saying, but when are you going to get a real job, or you'd be great for this, and so on. So I think, if you can sort of seek out the people who are out there doing the stuff that you want to be doing, I think that is incredibly powerful. And that you're doing the same for others is really lovely. So what would you say is the best part of, you said you love the ups and downs and so on, and you wouldn't want to be doing something else, so what is the best part of the work and lifestyle that you're living now?
I think for me it's definitely been more, it's the freedom, the freedom of choice, that I can just do what I want to do when I want to do it. So last year I headed off to the Appalachian Trail to do this big walking challenge, but my business was still, I preloaded all my podcasts and blog posts. I had a small team of amazing women who were helping with my social media while I was away. Great. I spent 3 months walking through the Appalachian Mountains over in America, and it was incredible. So I think freedom is amazing. I think it's just having the choice the choice over like my destiny, because I know all the hard work that I put in now is going to bring the rewards, and actually sometimes it does come down to me. I love the fact that, again, I suppose it is actually freedom. I was going to say I don't have to work to a schedule. I don't actually interact with people now who I don't like. I know that sounds really weird, but sometimes in business environments you've got to be sort of nice to everyone and be professional to everyone, and sometimes you just don't like them as a person, and you think, I don't want to spend any time. I just find you either too negative, or you just, you're just not my cup of tea. Whereas now, 9 times out of 10, everybody I speak to is, it's not about competition. It's about collaboration. It's about working together. It's about being supportive. And it's just a completely different dynamic, which is amazing. So there is so many benefits. I'm trying to think what else.
You don't have the office politics there. You can just unfriend someone. If someone's being rude on Facebook, it's easier than in the office. You've got to keep working with that colleague every day, right? So
just put the mute button on.
Yes, exactly. I also find that I don't get ill as much. I think people have commented, because I work from home a lot, I think I'm not sort of exposed to all the germs and things in the office environment, which is another unexpected bonus of not working in an office job.
Although the offside of that is when you when you do get ill and you can't do your own work. So I had before I did the Marathon de Sables, so this big race across the Sahara Desert, I was basically, because I had all this freedom, I was training like this elite athlete. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, I've actually put like my training logs on my blog, like what I was doing, like how many miles I was walking every week. I was doing boxing, yoga, weightlifting. Wow. I was just this utter machine. But I basically ran myself into the ground. And so Christmas, maybe like 2 years ago, I was suffering from like chronic fatigue, like my iron levels were so low. So there's me, like I can't even get out of bed. I mean, I know I'm in bed at the moment, but like I couldn't, like I woun't have been able to do this. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation. But I'd still be posting, positive and motivational stuff. And it's that which can be really challenging. And that took me a good 6 months to realize actually my health has to come first, and it's not the more miles the better, or the more work that you can do. And so it's definitely about trying to achieve that balance, which I think is difficult actually when you are sort of an entrepreneur, and if you work from this space, because you get those feelings of guilt. Well, you should be working. Why are you relaxing? Why are you not doing this? And I think that's probably taken me, I'm still working on it, but definitely about 2.5 years to get to the point where I don't feel guilty if I'm not working or I'm not busy, because I'm trying to get out of this mindset. I've got to be busy, busy, busy all the time. It's like, no, I want to be productive, but actually I still want to have time for me, and, you know, to have a social life and to see friends and to do all of that side of things. So it is that balance. But yeah, just looking after your health is so important. But yeah. I think actually,
not agree more. Yeah, I've just been focusing on that in the last few weeks. I don't know if you've seen, but it's putting well-being absolutely at the forefront. So I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience. And as you said, that's what's, I guess, a little bit disturbing. You keep that sort of outer front going, so people don't necessarily know that you need help, and other people are seeing that, you know, that looks all amazing and so on. So, but with the, I mean, for example, the Appalachian Trail, that sounds like you really set up the business in a clever way. You know, you're able to set aside that time, have systems, pre-record stuff, as you said, sort of make sure that everything is running. So you don't sort of take 3 months off your business. You just do it in a smart way that you can go off and do that. And also, importantly, remember why you quit your job in the first place, because otherwise, if you're getting caught up and you're pushing yourself more than you were almost in the office job, which is sort of also not the point of what you're doing. So I think it does take time to get that experience and to learn what the right balance is, if there is such a thing as the right balance. But
I think my dream has always been to be able to live and work from anywhere in the world, to be sort of a digital nomad. So actually I can, basically all I do need to work is my laptop and my phone, which, because everything is, you know, is online. And so it is absolutely amazing to think, well, actually I could go off, or I can go off. When I get to a certain point of making money, then I will be able to have this freedom again and go traveling, and just to really live the life that I want to lead, and not to be chained to a desk, and not to be just having 2 weeks holiday a year. That for me, that's not the life I want to be living. So.
Well, they say create a life that you don't need a vacation from, I think is the quote, right? So,
yeah,
but it is a journey, and then being a little bit patient as well. I think it's hard to go. I certainly thought that I made that big decision to quit my job, and then ta-da, I'm living my dream life the next day. And obviously there's some swings of the pendulum, and you have to experiment, and ups and downs, as you said, and then gradually you learn. And we're in it for the long haul. Hopefully we'll be doing this, you know, and things will evolve, and our priorities will change and so on. So I think as long as you have patience and sort of take small steps forwards in the right direction, then
I feel as though I need to basically get balance tattooed on one side and patience on the other.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, they're key words, aren't they?
Yeah, like 100%. It is about patience. And I mean, I wrote this detailed business plan, you know, 1 to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to a year, and, you know, what I was going to be doing, what I was going to be achieving, and it just didn't happen sort of at all. And I think, and I'm very, you know, very goal driven. I have my to-do list. I get on, I achieve things. And it wasn't for want of trying. It wasn't for lack of hard work. It wasn't for lack of desire or passion. It was basically what it needs is, it just needs time and patience, and things just need to grow and evolve. I mean, it took me, you know, 6 months to get 25,000 downloads on my podcast. And I remember, like, you know, a couple of months ago when I got that in a month, and you're suddenly like, oh, this is, you know, 6 months of, you know, really hard work, and suddenly you're getting that sort of monthly. It's just amazing how things can grow and develop. And you look at, I look at my website and I think, oh my God, I've created all this. It started, you know, with like 4 podcast interviews and, you know, little bits of stories about me. And now there's just so many stories of these incredible women doing these amazing things. And so it is definitely a journey, but patient. I'm just so impatient. I basically want it now. I want to be living like my dream life now. And I think it is so hard. And I think this is where sometimes people give up.
Yes.
It's when you know, you're not seeing results, you're not seeing things happen. And sometimes it is a case of showing up, being consistent, because I've put out an episode for the Tough Girl podcast every single Tuesday without fail.
Yes.
For, you know, 2.5 years now. You know, doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, there has been an episode of the Tough Girl podcast come out. And it's patience, and it's just be calm, be patient, balance, patience and balance is what I need in my life.
But also to celebrate those things, because that's amazing. And I'm so glad to hear that you sort of pick up on that. Like, my goodness, I was sort of trying to get this per month or whatever, you know, for over a 6 month period, and now I'm getting it per month. So maybe eventually you'll get it in a week. And so I think it's important to pause there, reflect on the amazing progress you've done on the other hand. But yeah, in terms of patience, it's interesting, I guess, because you don't see the results right away. So if you're seeing amazing results right now, for example, then you think, oh, everything's going so well. But if you take your foot off the pedal, actually sort of 3 months, 6 months from now, it won't be going so well, because that's the cycle. And likewise, if things are going badly now, it's not a sign of the stuff you're doing right now not working, because you could be doing all the right things. It's just that needs some time to sort of percolate. So it is a bit of a sort of disconnect, and those cycles can be quite difficult. Also then you mentioned before that actually you wish you had started certain things earlier, and I know again, the blog, podcast, as we just said, these things do take time, so the sooner you can start the better. Would you have any other advice either for yourself or someone in that kind of position, a couple of years ago, that you wish you had done or you would advise based on your sort of wisdom now, your experience of the last few years?
I think it took me probably about 6 months. So when I decided I wanted to start a podcast, which was in January 2015, it took me 6 months to launch it. And I think there were so many fears in there, can I do this? Do I have the technical skills? Am I any good? How am I going to get interviews? What am I going to do? And what I try and say to people now is, and it sounds so cheesy, and I almost hate it because I don't feel as though this is good advice, which is just to start, like just to do it, to take action. Because if you don't take action, you're never going to know, because actually you can start, and that's the only way that you can learn. I mean, with my first 4 podcast interviews, I never introduced myself. I didn't even tell people what my name is. So they're just like, there's this random stranger like, hello, welcome to Talk About Podcast. Yeah. And I don't tell anybody who I am. And so the only way that you can learn is, what I believe, is through doing it, putting yourself out there, giving it a go, trying and seeing, what are you learning, what's working well, what's not, and then learn from those mistakes, because that is the only way that you are going to learn. Yeah. And it's quite interesting. I have quite a few people, email me and message me, or want to speak to me, say, I want to start this and this, and I'm just like, okay, well, let's take it right back to me and just start. Like, okay, you want to put videos out on YouTube, put a video out on YouTube. You don't need any special technical stuff. You've got a laptop, you've got a camera on your laptop, you've got an iPhone or a smartphone. You can just use that. You don't need to sort of delay and have all this amazing equipment. Same with podcasting. You don't need to go out and spend an absolute fortune on I was going to say microwaves, but microphones and and technical equipment. Same with a blog. You can get a free blog hosting website, so you don't actually have to put any capital into it. But I think, for me, that's the most frustrating, is when I have friends who, they want to change their life, they want to do something, different, and they have this great idea, but they just never execute. Everyone can have great ideas and ambitions and want to lead a certain life, but unless you do something about it, it's just never going to happen. So it is just a question of thinking, okay, no more delay, no more waiting, just start. I think, I really just want to ram that down to people's throats. Just please start. Like, whether it's you want to start training for a 5K, you want to get fit or healthy or go to the gym, you want to find a new job or find a new relationship, whatever it is, you just have to start. And that's the first step, unfortunately, is the hardest. But then what happens is you build momentum, and you just, things start rolling and happening, and you're suddenly like, whoa, why didn't I start this earlier? Which is what it comes back to. Yeah,
you build momentum, you build your confidence, you realise actually it wasn't that scary after all. You put a blog post out, nobody reads it anyway, so actually, it's not so bad. Then you can keep going, and as you said, you learn, you realise actually I should have introduced myself in that intro, and you get feedback from people. No, I couldn't agree more. That's really powerful advice. I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think it's just incredibly important and practical advice, really, because you just take one step, one thing, contact someone, write a blog, research how to host a blog, whatever it is, talk to someone who's done it. Absolutely. I find it so, the word I always use is soul destroying. To have, to be here and want to be there is such a frustrating place to be in. And it's so easy, actually, when it comes down to it, to start taking little steps towards there. And also, you mentioned sort of living your ideal life. And yes, we need to be patient, but I also think there are ways to bring that sort of elements of that ideal life into our day already today. If you want to be a writer, well, write. Or if you want to, my example is always spend time by the ocean, take the train down to the ocean. You don't have to wait until you can afford a £4 million villa by Santa Monica or whatever, So definitely fantastic advice to leave everyone with. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
So where can we find you? On your podcast, your Facebook group? Where do you want people to look you up? And I'm sure they'll want to hear now your amazing stories on the podcast.
Oh, fabulous. But the best place to go is toughgirlchallenges.com. There are links to all my social media, blogs, books, podcasts, all these incredible stories. Well worth checking out. So toughgirlchallenges.com.
Great. Thank you so much. And congratulations on being nominated for that award. It sounds fantastic. It sounds like you've come really far. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's exciting. Thank you.
Great. Thanks,
it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.